Welcome, chosen ones. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the atmosphere shift? Conversations halt mid-sentence, people exchange uneasy glances, and suddenly everyone seems hyper-aware of your presence. That's not just coincidence, it's your divine energy disrupting their comfort zones. It's as if your very existence shines a spotlight on what they'd rather keep hidden. They say they're scared of you, but what they're really afraid of is what you stand for: truth, justice, and the unshakable purpose God placed in your life. Take a moment now to comment 777 and affirm your place as one of God's chosen. And to everyone who has blessed this journey through super thanks, thank you deeply for your unwavering support. Your kindness fuels this mission and inspires every word spoken here. You see, chosen ones, there's a reason you evoke such powerful reactions. People naturally fear what they can't control, and you, my friend, are the embodiment of divine unpredictability. You weren't created to fit into their molds or play by their rules. Instead, you're here to shatter illusions, expose hidden truths, and bring light into the darkest places. That's not just intimidating, it's revolutionary. Imagine being a walking, breathing catalyst for change, someone whose mere presence challenges the status quo. How could they not be afraid? But here's the part that truly reveals your purpose. Their fear isn't just random, it's confirmation. It's proof that your divine mission is working. The very fact that your light causes them discomfort means you're doing exactly what you were called to do. So why are they scared of you? And what does that say about the path you're walking? Stick with me, because today we're peeling back the layers to uncover the deeper reasons behind their fear and why it's the clearest sign that you're stepping boldly into your God-given destiny. This is going to be powerful. Are you ready? Let's dive in. God's chosen ones. People say they're scared of you. You were born to bring justice. God's chosen ones, your presence compels people to confront the parts of themselves they'd rather keep hidden. It's not something you deliberately set out to do, but the energy you carry has a light so pure, so illuminating, that it exposes the shadows they've tried to bury. Every insecurity, every fear, every unhealed wound, they can't hide from the clarity your authenticity brings. Imagine walking into a room where every pretense, every carefully constructed illusion is suddenly stripped away. That's the impact you have on others. Have you ever noticed how people seem unsettled or even defensive around you, as though you've unintentionally unearthed something they weren't ready to face? Your authenticity acts as a mirror, reflecting back to them the lies they've told themselves, the masks they've worn to survive. They've spent years, even decades, constructing these facades to avoid the discomfort of self-reflection. But when you walk in, their defenses falter and the cracks in their carefully built walls begin to show. It's not because you accuse them or call out their flaws. It's because the truth you carry stands in stark contrast to the illusions they cling to. Proverbs 20:27 tells us, "The human spirit is the lamp of the Lord that sheds light on one's inmost being." Your very presence ignites that lamp, shining into the corners they've long kept in darkness. Consider the Pharisees in the Bible. They feared Jesus, not because he sought to harm them, but because his truth exposed their hypocrisy and self-deception. In John 8:32, Jesus declared, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Yet, the truth is often uncomfortable. It doesn't just liberate, it disrupts, it challenges, and it calls for change. Isn't it intriguing how some people would rather remain bound by the chains of denial than step into the freedom truth offers? What might they be clinging to so tightly, and what would happen if they let go? The fear they feel around you isn't about you, it's about what you represent. Your light reveals the things they've worked so hard to avoid. They've become accustomed to their illusions, crafting narratives that shield them from the reality of their choices. But when you show up, those narratives crumble. It's not your words or actions that unnerve them. It's the fact that your very being calls them to face their truth. Like Jesus among the Pharisees, you don't seek conflict, but the truth you carry naturally disrupts the lies they've built their lives upon. Have you ever wondered why truth feels like a threat to those who aren't ready to embrace it? The truth challenges them to change, and change is terrifying when it threatens the foundation of their identity. For those who've built their lives on control, deceit, or denial, the prospect of vulnerability feels like a loss of power. Yet, deep down, their resistance is rooted in fear. Fear of what they might see if they truly looked inward. 2 Corinthians 4:6 reminds us, "For God, who said, 'Let light shine out of darkness,' made his light shine in our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of God's glory displayed in the face of Christ." You are that light, whether you realize it or not, and it is this light that disrupts their comfort. Your presence isn't about judgment, it's about invitation, an invitation to authenticity, to healing, and to transformation. Some people will accept it and begin the hard work of confronting their inner shadows. Others will reject it, clinging more tightly to their masks out of fear. But the choice is theirs. What's undeniable is the power of your energy to reveal what's hidden, to bring light to what's been buried. And as uncomfortable as that process may be for some, it is a necessary step toward liberation and growth. So ask yourself, what role do you play in this divine process? Are you willing to continue carrying this light even when it makes others uncomfortable? Remember, the discomfort they feel is not your burden. It's their opportunity. Your presence doesn't just expose the darkness. It offers a path to freedom for those brave enough to take it. Your mere presence, without speaking a word, unsettles them. It's the way you move confidently, the way you hold your head high, and the way you exist without needing their approval. They see in you what they lack: courage to face their fears, clarity about their purpose, and a refusal to conform to society's superficial standards. You don't fit into their neatly defined categories, and that terrifies them. Why? Because it reminds them of their own compromises, the dreams they abandoned, and the authenticity they suppressed. Do you think they fear you, or do they fear the version of themselves they could become if only they were brave enough? What unnerves them most is that you don't participate in their games of deception and competition. You don't need to. Your presence alone exposes the truth they've buried, like a sudden beam of light piercing through a darkened room. They sense that you see them, not the polished image they show the world, but their raw, unfiltered selves. You see their fears, the secrets they've hidden, and the battles they've lost within. This kind of perception is more than intimidating. It's downright terrifying for those who aren't ready to face the truth. Because of this, they fear you, they gossip about you, they try to discredit you, and they may even attempt to bring you down. But their fear isn't about you, it's about them. Their reactions reflect their unwillingness to confront the truth you embody. Just like the prophets of old, you weren't sent to make people comfortable. You were sent to bring justice, and justice begins with truth, no matter how unsettling it might be. Ask yourself, why does the truth provoke such fear in others? Could it be that deep down they recognize that your light was never meant to dim for their comfort, but to shine boldly and reveal what needs to change? People fear you because you embody a rare and piercing clarity that disrupts their carefully constructed illusions. Your presence doesn't just fill a room, it cuts through the haze of denial that many rely on to feel secure. Most people build their identities on narratives they've repeated to themselves. I'm a good person, I'm doing my best, or I have everything under control. These comforting illusions are their shields against insecurity and self-doubt, but when you're near, those shields begin to crack and they're left face to face with the raw truth they've been avoiding. This isn't because you confront them directly or point out their flaws. You don't have to. Your existence itself acts as a mirror, one that doesn't flatter or filter. It reflects the unvarnished truth of who they are, revealing the inconsistencies between their self-perception and reality. Think of the rich young ruler in Mark 10:17-22, who asked Jesus what he must do to inherit eternal life. When Jesus told him to sell his possessions and follow him, the man walked away sorrowful, not because of Jesus' judgment, but because he saw the truth of his attachment to wealth. Isn't it remarkable how truth often calls us to confront what we treasure most? Your strength and independence magnify their insecurities. Your courage to live authentically highlights the compromises they've made, and your honesty acts as a light that exposes the lies they tell themselves and others. Imagine standing before a mirror that doesn't just show your reflection, but reveals the deepest parts of your soul. Wouldn't that be both terrifying and humbling? That's the effect you have. What truths might others see in your presence that they're too afraid to face? The fear you evoke doesn't stem from hatred. It's rooted in shame. You remind people of the dreams they abandoned, the growth they've resisted, and the battles they've lost to comfort and complacency. It's as if your presence shines a harsh, unyielding light on all the places where they've settled for less than they were created to be. Instead of using that moment of revelation to grow, most retreat. They gossip about you, resent you, or attempt to undermine you, not because of who you are, but because of the truths you reflect. Your role isn't to provoke fear intentionally, but it happens because of the light you carry. Like a prophet or a forerunner of change, you weren't designed to fit in or cater to others' comfort. You were born to reveal truth, and truth doesn't bend to make people feel at ease. Truth is transformative, and transformation, as we know, begins with discomfort. Do you wonder why people resist the very truth that could set them free? As Jesus said in John 3:20, "Everyone who does evil hates the light and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed." Could it be that their resistance to you is less about you and more about their unwillingness to step into the light of transformation? You were born to reflect truth, even if it unsettles, because transformation cannot occur without it. You carry the energy of ancient justice, a force so profound that it transcends time and place. Even those who don't understand it instinctively feel its weight. It's a timeless power that travels with you, a calling that's written into your very essence. You don't merely stand for justice, you embody it. Your purpose isn't rooted in vengeance or petty squabbles, but in restoring balance to a world that has grown far too comfortable with imbalance. People sense this about you, and it unnerves them. There's something about your presence that feels inevitable, like the changing of the seasons or the relentless pull of the tides. Your arrival in any situation is never by chance. It's intentional, divinely orchestrated to confront what's wrong and bring it to light. Think of the prophets in the Bible, like Amos, who proclaimed in Amos 5:24, "But let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream." This is the energy you carry, a divine call to bring righteousness where there has been injustice. When you enter the room, those who thrive on lies and manipulation feel their time is up. They sense, without fully understanding, that your presence is a silent verdict. Isn't it fascinating how truth and justice can speak so loudly without words? What might they see in you that makes them so certain their games are over? You don't need to shout, argue, or even directly confront anyone. Your energy alone carries the unspoken message. The scales of justice will be balanced. Those who have exploited or manipulated others feel an undeniable weight when they're around you because they know their actions are no longer hidden. This isn't just a vague feeling, it's an internal reckoning. They sense that justice has arrived and that it's non-negotiable. Even those who have no personal grievances with you can't help but feel uneasy. Why? Because you expose the cracks in the systems they've relied on, showing them that their comfort rests on unstable foundations. Your mission isn't merely to exist, but to disrupt and dismantle what's broken. Like Jesus turning over the money changers' tables in the temple, Matthew 21:12-13, your purpose is to cleanse and restore what's right. The energy you carry doesn't just demand respect, it commands fear from those who cling to corruption and the status quo. They see in you the inevitability of change, a force they cannot stop. Have you ever wondered why their resistance to you feels so intense? Could it be that deep down, they know they're facing something far greater than themselves? Your unstoppable nature isn't just about determination. It's because justice is embedded in who you are. It's woven into every fiber of your being, an ancient calling that resonates across lifetimes. People fear you not because of what you might do, but because of what you represent. The end of imbalance, the collapse of falsehood, and the restoration of divine order. You are not just a messenger of justice, you are justice. And justice, as we know, may be delayed, but it cannot be denied. People spend years constructing intricate masks, personas designed to shield their vulnerabilities, earn approval, and project an idealized image of themselves. These facades become their armor, enabling them to navigate a world where appearances often hold more weight than truth. Yet when they encounter you, all their carefully built defenses crumble. This isn't something you intentionally provoke. It's simply the effect of your presence. Your energy, authentic and unyielding, acts like a mirror that reflects their true selves, making it impossible for them to maintain their disguises. You don't engage with people on a superficial level. You see beyond the surface, past the rehearsed smiles and polished words. It's not just that you notice inconsistencies or read between the lines. Your authenticity has a way of bringing truth to light. This isn't just uncomfortable for those who rely on their masks, it's utterly terrifying. Imagine standing in front of someone who sees you, not as you want to be seen, but as you truly are. Isn't it fascinating how much effort people invest in illusions, only to have them dissolve in an instant when faced with someone like you? Could it be that they fear the reflection of their own truth more than anything else? Their fear isn't rooted in hatred, but in confusion and vulnerability. They're used to controlling situations through charm, manipulation, or bravado. Yet none of that works on you. Their usual strategies, those finely tuned tools of persuasion, become powerless in your presence. You don't judge them or confront them outright, but you know. It's as if you carry an innate wisdom, one that discerns intentions and pierces through falsehood without needing words. Consider how Jesus interacted with the Pharisees in Luke 11:39-40, saying, "You Pharisees clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside you are full of greed and wickedness." His words weren't meant to destroy, but to expose the truth, offering an opportunity for transformation. Isn't that what your presence does? Without even speaking, you challenge people to confront their inner reality. How might their lives change if they embrace the truth instead of hiding from it? What unnerves them most is their inability to control or predict you. For individuals who have mastered the art of deception, your clarity feels like a threat. They're accustomed to fooling others, manipulating situations, and hiding behind their masks. But around you, those masks lose their power. Stripped of their facades, they're left wondering who they truly are. And this vulnerability is what makes your presence so intimidating. Your transformative energy isn't about tearing people down, but about dismantling what isn't real. You don't seek to harm or expose them. Rather, your truth naturally dismantles their lies. Like light entering a dark room, your authenticity reveals everything that has been hidden. To them, you're not just another person. You're a force they cannot control, predict, or manipulate. They fear you because your presence challenges the very foundation of their identity. And yet, isn't it in those moments of discomfort that real transformation begins? As Paul wrote in Ephesians 5:13, "But everything exposed by the light becomes visible, and everything that is illuminated becomes a light." You are that light, and it's through your presence that others are invited to shed their masks and step into the truth. In a world where deception often masquerades as strategy, your unwavering integrity stands as a stark and uncomfortable contrast. While many have grown accustomed to bending the truth, cutting corners, or sacrificing values for convenience, your refusal to compromise sends shockwaves through their carefully constructed realities. You don't just value honesty. You live it in every decision, every action, and every word. That kind of authenticity doesn't just make people uneasy, it shakes them to their core. Most people navigate life by manipulating perceptions, persuading others to their advantage, or hiding behind half-truths. Their successes, relationships, and even their self-worth are often built on foundations of hidden agendas. Then you appear unshakable, incorruptible, and immune to the usual tactics of charm, guilt, or intimidation. For those who thrive in a world of pretense, encountering someone like you feels like hitting an immovable wall. It's not just disconcerting, it's terrifying. What do you think goes through their minds when they realize you can't be swayed or manipulated? Could it be that their fear is rooted in the recognition that their tools of control hold no power over you? Your integrity is frightening because it's not a performance, it's who you are. You don't act with principles to gain respect or approval, it's simply how you're wired. This authenticity creates a glaring contrast, exposing the compromises and moral shortcuts others have taken. Like the rich man in Matthew 19:16-22, who couldn't let go of his wealth to follow Jesus, they're confronted with a choice: cling to their illusions or face the truth of their shortcomings. Isn't it striking how your steadfastness can serve as both a mirror and a challenge to those around you? What's even more unsettling for them is the permanence of your integrity. It's not situational or selective. It doesn't waver under pressure or bend to fit circumstances. People who rely on deceit to maintain power find themselves powerless against someone like you, whose principles guide every action. They can't predict your next move because you're not playing by the same rules. They're playing a game, and you're living by truth. How might their lives look different if they embraced the same unwavering commitment to integrity? And how much of their fear stems from the realization that they've sacrificed their values for fleeting gains? To many, your presence is a constant reminder of what they've given up, whether it's their honesty, their moral compass, or their courage to stand firm. They see in you the strength they've traded for convenience, the truth they've silenced for comfort. That contrast is why they lash out, avoid you, or try to discredit you. It's not about who you are, it's about what you represent. Your transparency dismantles their deception without you even trying. Your integrity isn't just a shield that protects you from their games, it's a weapon that disrupts their entire system. Like Jesus, who stood unshaken before Pilate and refused to compromise his mission, John 19:10-11, you demonstrate that true power doesn't come from manipulation or coercion, but from standing firm in truth. Isn't it remarkable how one person's steadfastness can challenge an entire system of lies? They'll never figure out how to defeat you because your strength lies in something they can't touch, your unwavering commitment to what's right. While they may fear you, their fear is ultimately a reflection of their own insecurities and regrets. Your integrity is your light, your armor, and your power, and no matter how much they try, they can never extinguish it. Your very existence disrupts systems of control that have thrived for far too long. You didn't incarnate to quietly observe or conform. You came to dismantle, to bring a reckoning to structures built on manipulation and coercion. The moment you step into the picture, those who have relied on these systems instinctively sense it. Their time of unchecked dominance is over. It's not your words or actions alone that unsettle them. It's the undeniable force of what you represent. Your presence carries the weight of inevitability, a signal that change is no longer an abstract concept, but a living, breathing reality. This change isn't polite or negotiable. It's transformative, unapologetic, and non-negotiable. It doesn't ask for permission. It arrives with purpose, dismantling the old to create space for the new, something aligned with truth and justice. Think about Jesus overturning the tables of the money changers in the temple, Matthew 21:12-13. He didn't plead for change. He embodied it, disrupting the exploitation that had taken root in a sacred space. Doesn't your presence feel like that to those who thrive on manipulation? How do you think they react when they realize they can no longer control the narrative? For those who've built their power on illusions, on lies, deceit, and coercion, your existence is a threat they cannot contain. You are a walking contradiction to everything they've relied on. They see in you a foundation of truth that shakes the very ground beneath their feet. Their control, which once felt unshakable, begins to crumble the moment you appear. And the most unsettling part for them, they know they can't stop you. They might attempt resistance, slander, or sabotage, but deep down they understand that their efforts are futile. Isn't it fascinating how the mere presence of truth can unravel a lifetime of lies? Your energy is a reminder that their dominance is unsustainable. Like the shifting of tides, your presence signals a new era, one where justice, honesty, and balance replace exploitation and deceit. In Ephesians 6:12, Paul reminds us, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." Could it be that your role is part of this divine struggle, standing as a beacon of light in a world accustomed to darkness? What unnerves them most is your steadfastness. You don't play their games, seek their approval, or bend to their schemes. Simply standing firm in your truth is enough to destabilize the intricate webs of control they've spun. They see in you a force that cannot be coerced, manipulated, or intimidated. How do you think they reconcile their fear of you with the realization that their power was always an illusion? You didn't come to conform to their rules. You came to change the rules entirely. You embody the end of an era, a shift from oppression to liberation, from falsehood to truth. And though they may fight it, deep down, they know the battle has already been decided. Their reign is over, and you are the harbinger of the new order. Your existence alone is a declaration. Their time has passed, and justice has come to take its place. People who thrive on control often wield fear, guilt, and manipulation like expertly honed tools. These weapons, perfected over years, are their lifelines. Strategies designed to keep others in submission, secure their dominance, and twist circumstances in their favor. Yet, when they cross paths with you, these methods crumble to pieces. What's remarkable is that it's not because you resist them with force or fight fire with fire. It's because their tactics simply cannot penetrate your defenses. This leaves them deeply unnerved, shaken to their core in ways they can't even comprehend. Why don't their weapons work on you? Because fear has no power over someone who has already walked through their own shadows. You've faced trials that stripped away all pretense, exposing you to your most vulnerable truths, but instead of breaking, you emerged stronger, refined, and fearless. The Bible reminds us in Isaiah 41:10, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Through this divine assurance, you've learned to confront fear head-on, rendering it powerless in your life. Guilt, too, finds no foothold in you. You've embraced authenticity and integrity, knowing that your heart is aligned with God's will. Even when others attempt to manipulate you with blame or accusations, it doesn't stick. Like Jesus, who remained silent in the face of false accusations during his trial, Matthew 27:12-14, you understand the power of standing firm in truth, rather than being swayed by deceit or guilt trips. Your unshakable self-awareness exposes their tactics for what they are: hollow attempts to control and manipulation. It's futile against someone who sees through it so clearly. Their elaborate schemes become as ineffective as throwing stones at a fortress. You recognize the patterns, the subtle ploys, and the attempts to twist your reality. As Proverbs 4:23 advises, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." By maintaining your spiritual discernment and emotional boundaries, you've created an impenetrable wall against their efforts. This disarms them completely. Imagine someone who has spent their entire life mastering a skill, only to find it useless in the most critical moment. That's what these individuals experience when they encounter you. Their fear-based tactics, guilt trips, and manipulations, once their greatest strengths, suddenly reveal their limitations. They're forced to face a harrowing truth. Without these tools, they are exposed, vulnerable, and powerless. Doesn't this make you wonder what it is about your presence that disrupts them so deeply? Could it be that your inner strength reflects the divine authority of someone chosen by God? Just as David, armed only with faith, brought down Goliath without heavy armor or weapons, 1 Samuel 17:45-47, your steadfastness and trust in God's power render their strategies useless. You don't need to retaliate or engage in their games. Your strength comes from a higher place and they can sense it. Their frustration isn't just about losing control, it's existential. Their entire sense of identity, built on these manipulative tools, begins to unravel in your presence. They are left questioning their own worth and strategies, terrified of a reality where their usual methods no longer grant them power. What happens when the masks they've worn fall away and they are left exposed for who they truly are? For someone who has spent their life avoiding vulnerability, this is a terrifying prospect. In the end, it's not just intimidation they feel, it's a profound sense of defeat. They're faced with a reality they've never prepared for, someone who cannot be controlled, manipulated, or silenced. Doesn't this reveal the incredible strength God has given you? And doesn't it also show that perhaps your role is not just to survive these encounters, but to serve as a mirror, forcing others to confront their own shadows? Could it be that, like Esther, you were born for such a time as this? Esther 4:14, to bring justice, light, and truth into a world often ruled by fear and deception. Your power is unlike anything most people have encountered, and that's because its source is not of this world. It doesn't stem from wealth, social status, physical prowess, or even personal charisma. Your authority is rooted in something infinitely greater, a divine purpose imbued by God Himself. This isn't something you boast about or wear as a badge. It is simply woven into the essence of who you are. It emanates from your actions, your words, and even your silence. People sense it, often before they understand it. Even those who deny the existence of the spiritual realm can't help but feel that there's something extraordinary about you. This divine authority is incorruptible. It cannot be bought, borrowed, or replicated. It stands in stark contrast to the fleeting and fragile power many rely on, whether that's manipulation, control, or the accumulation of material wealth. In Isaiah 40:31, we are reminded, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." Your strength comes from this hope, a source so vast that it renders the strategies of the world insignificant. Doesn't this make you wonder how your quiet confidence reveals their insecurities? To those clinging to earthly power, your presence is unnerving. It highlights the limits of their influence. Their alliances, hierarchies, and cunning schemes suddenly seem trivial when confronted with the vastness of divine authority. Think of Jesus standing before Pilate, who wielded political power but couldn't comprehend the eternal authority of the one standing before him. In John 19:10-11, Pilate says, "Don't you realize I have power either to free you or to crucify you?" Jesus replies, "You would have no power over me if it were not given to you from above." This exchange captures the essence of the authority you carry. It is beyond human control, and it answers only to God. This is why they fear you. Their discomfort is not solely about who you are, it's about what you represent. You embody a greater order, a divine justice, and a higher purpose that exposes the fragility of their ambitions. Their instinctive reactions to you, whether it's envy, hostility, or reverence, stem from an unspoken realization. They are not merely contending with a person, but with a purpose that transcends their understanding. Have you noticed how their attempts to undermine you often feel futile, as though they're battling something far beyond their reach? Your connection to divine purpose is your foundation. It gives you a calm, unshakable confidence. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone, because the proof is evident in your very presence. Like Moses, who descended from Mount Sinai with his face radiant after encountering God, Exodus 34:29, your connection to the divine is evident without a word. How could it not terrify those whose power is rooted in deception, fleeting wealth, or hollow authority? Ultimately, your life serves as a living testament to a truth they cannot deny. You are a reminder that true power lies not in the material or the manipulative, but in surrendering to God's will. This terrifies them, not because you are a threat in the conventional sense, but because your presence makes them question everything they've built their lives upon. Isn't it amazing how someone walking in divine purpose can unsettle even the most powerful earthly figures simply by being who they are? People crave predictability because it gives them a sense of control. Knowing what to expect from others and how situations might unfold makes them feel safe, as though they can manage their surroundings. But with you, control is an illusion. You don't conform to societal molds, traditional expectations, or the rules they've set for how things should work. You are a mystery, a constantly evolving enigma that they cannot pin down. And this leaves them unsettled no matter how hard they try to figure you out. Your unpredictability isn't just a character trait, it's a reflection of your divine purpose. You operate under a different set of principles, guided by faith and intuition rather than the rigid expectations of the world. Consider how Jesus defied the norms of his time. One moment, he was dining with tax collectors and sinners, Matthew 9:10-13, and the next, he was flipping tables in the temple, rebuking those who desecrated God's house, Matthew 21:12-13. His actions baffled those who tried to control or categorize him, just as your actions confound those around you. How can they understand someone who answers to a higher calling rather than societal pressure? Your unpredictability feels like a riddle they can't solve. Just when they think they've figured you out, you change direction, shattering their assumptions. You might be contemplative and quiet in one moment, reflecting a deep inner peace, and then boldly disrupt the status quo in the next. This fluidity makes it impossible for them to box you in, and the more they try to label you, the more elusive you become. You are like the wind described in John 3:8. The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. This drives them to frustration because they thrive on certainty. Their power depends on predictability. Understanding others allows them to manipulate, control, and maintain their sense of superiority. But with you, their usual strategies fall flat. Your movements, words, and decisions are guided by something far beyond their comprehension. They don't know how to prepare for what you'll do next, or how to react to the unexpected paths you take. Have you ever noticed how their confusion often leads to hostility or obsessive scrutiny? It's as if your refusal to play by their rules highlights how fragile their sense of control really is. Your unpredictability is a source of power. It keeps them on edge, constantly second-guessing themselves. It reminds them that no matter how much they plan, plot, or prepare, they cannot dictate your actions. You don't bend to their expectations, and that defiance is a quiet revolution in itself. Like Moses defying Pharaoh in Exodus, you are unwavering in your purpose, even when those in power try to impose their will upon you. Does this make you wonder how your unique path exposes the limits of their control and the fear that lies beneath it? To them, you are like a storm, wild, unstoppable, and beyond their ability to predict or tame. Storms unsettle people, not because they are inherently destructive, but because they remind us of forces greater than ourselves. Your unpredictability reflects that same truth. It's a reflection of your connection to a divine purpose that cannot be measured, categorized, or subdued. Your life is a testament to Psalm 37:23. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Your refusal to conform isn't just unsettling, it's liberating for those who dare to see it. You remind people that they too can break free from the limitations imposed by others, that they can walk their own path. But for those who fear change and uncertainty, your presence is a stark reminder of how little control they actually have. Could it be that your unpredictability is part of God's plan to challenge the status quo and inspire others to think beyond their narrow definitions of life? Your silence is a weapon more powerful than any noise. When you choose not to respond, it's not because you lack the words or the ability to defend yourself. Instead, your very presence carries a weight that no argument or explanation can match. While others fill the air with endless chatter, arguing, gossiping, and desperately trying to pull you into their conflicts, you stand rooted in your silence. That quiet strength speaks louder than any words they could ever hurl at you. Your stillness forces them to reckon with the emptiness of their actions and the chaos they create. Have you ever wondered why silence feels so threatening to those who thrive on drama? When people provoke you, gossip behind your back, or challenge you openly, they expect a reaction. They expect you to fight back, to justify yourself, or to be consumed by their noise. But you refuse to play their game. Instead, your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting the futility of their efforts. The Bible reminds us in Proverbs 17:28, "Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues." By staying silent, you display wisdom and restraint, qualities that unsettle those who rely on manipulation and conflict. Your silence exposes their insecurities. It highlights their desperate attempts to control you with their words. When they realize you're untouchable, that their insults, accusations, or even promises can't sway you, it terrifies them. Why? Because it dismantles their illusion of power. In a world where words are often used as weapons, your refusal to react renders their weapons useless. It's like throwing stones at a fortress. They only hit the wall and fall away. Imagine how disarming it is for someone accustomed to manipulating others through words to see that their tactics have no effect on you. This silent strength is not weakness. It's a declaration of independence from their noise. Isaiah 30:15 says, "In quietness and trust is your strength." You embody this truth when you refuse to let their chaos disrupt your peace. It's not just a refusal to engage, it's a powerful statement that their noise holds no weight in your life. They can shout, accuse, or gossip all they want, but their words are hollow. Have you ever thought about how liberating it is to realize that their noise cannot define your worth? What truly scares them is the realization that you've already won. They thrive on control, on getting a rise out of others, and when you don't react, you strip them of their power. Your silence declares that you operate on a higher level, one that doesn't depend on their validation or approval. Just like Jesus before Pilate, when he chose silence over defense, Matthew 27:14, your silence shows your confidence in the truth and in God's justice. Can you imagine the strength it takes to trust that God will fight your battles for you? In a noisy world where everyone feels the need to shout louder to be heard, your ability to remain silent is a strength that few can comprehend. It's a choice to rise above the fray, to not be defined by their chaos. It's not just about ignoring them, it's about declaring that their noise doesn't matter. By staying silent, you preserve your peace, your dignity, and your power. And that is something they will never understand or be able to take from you. You didn't come here to blend in or abide by the rules of a broken system. You incarnated with a higher purpose, to rewrite the very rules that generations have relied upon to maintain control. The structures of power, the systems built to manipulate and dominate, are collapsing under the sheer energy of your presence. These systems were designed to impose order through fear and division, to keep people compliant, and to perpetuate a world of inequality. But you were never meant to conform. You came to dismantle the foundations of their world and replace them with a new, transformative order. This new order you usher in is not based on greed or exploitation, but on principles of truth, justice, and harmony with the higher laws of the universe. While they enforce their control with lies and manipulation, you challenge them with transparency and authenticity. Have you noticed how truth resonates more powerfully than deceit? Your purpose is not to tear down with violence or anger, but to shine a light so bright that the shadows of their systems can no longer hide. The Bible reminds us in Isaiah 42:6-7, "I, the Lord, have called you in righteousness. I will take hold of your hand. I will keep you and will make you to be a covenant for the people and a light for the Gentiles, to open eyes that are blind, to free captives from prison, and to release from the dungeon those who sit in darkness." You embody this calling. You are here to awaken those who have been blinded by the falsehoods of the old world and lead them into a place of freedom and truth. The energy you carry is not compatible with the systems of the past. Their structures, built on fear, greed, and deceit, crumble, not because of direct attacks, but because they can't withstand the light of your presence. Can you imagine the panic of those who thrived in these systems as they feel their grip slipping away? They sense that their influence is waning, and they cannot stop the inevitable transformation you bring. Like a foundation of sand collapsing under the weight of truth, their control is disintegrating. You are here to restore balance and align humanity with the universal truths that govern existence. Where they sought division, you bring unity. Where they sow fear, you spread understanding. In the Romans 12:2, we're reminded, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will." This is the essence of your mission: to stand apart, to disrupt the patterns of the world, and to offer something far greater, a life aligned with divine purpose. What terrifies them most is that your transformation is unstoppable. They see the walls of their power structures falling, not with a clash of weapons, but through the unstoppable force of truth, justice, and the higher energy you embody. Your role is not merely to challenge the old ways, but to create a foundation for a new one. You are the catalyst for change, the spark that ignites a long overdue revolution of the Spirit. Have you ever felt the weight of this mission? It's not an easy path, yet you were chosen because you have the strength to see it through. The shift you're bringing is one that humanity has long awaited. Though they may not fully understand what's happening, they feel the transformation in their bones. The old world is ending and the new one is emerging. And you are the architect of this change, the force that ensures it cannot be stopped. What unsettles people most about you is not just who you are, it's who you're becoming. They can sense that you're far from finished, that your journey is one of continuous growth, and this realization fills them with unease. Right now you hold immense power, but what truly frightens them is the potential they see in you. You're evolving, stepping closer to the fullness of your purpose with every passing day. They see it in the way you move, the way you speak, and the way you stand firm in your truth. And the very thought of what you're becoming shakes them to their core, because it threatens the systems they've built and the fragile sense of control they cling to. Your journey is not ordinary, it's extraordinary. You're not just growing, you're on a divine trajectory, one that's destined to transcend their understanding. The Bible offers a powerful reminder of this in Philippians 1:6. Being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. You are the embodiment of this promise, a living testament to the transformative power of God's work. Have you ever considered that your very existence is a signal to the world that something greater is unfolding? The power you carry right now is significant, but it's only the beginning. You've barely scratched the surface of your capabilities. Imagine what will happen when you fully embrace the gifts, strength, and wisdom that God has placed within you. The deeper you go into your purpose, the more the ground beneath them trembles. Isaiah 60:1 declares, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." Every step you take towards your full potential is like a tremor that shakes the foundations of the systems they've worked so hard to fortify. People who thrive on control fear what they cannot predict or contain. They fear the unknown trajectory of your life because it is not tethered to their rules or expectations. They sense that you are not just a force of change for the present, but a harbinger of transformation for the future. You are, in every sense, a living prophecy, fulfilling a mission that has been written in eternity. Do you realize how much power lies in knowing that you're not just a part of God's plan, you're a crucial element of it? The systems they depend on, systems of control, manipulation, and division, are not equipped to withstand the energy you carry. Each step you take is a challenge to their status quo, a quiet yet powerful declaration that the old ways are ending. This is not a battle fought with noise or violence, it's a shift born out of your very being. When Jesus said in John 14:12, "Very truly I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things than these," he spoke of the kind of divine potential you are stepping into right now. Their fear of your unfinished mission stems from the understanding that you are unstoppable. What can they do against someone whose strength comes not from worldly power, but from God's hand. Your mission is a disruption, but it is also a restoration, a calling to bring things back into alignment with higher truths. As you evolve, as you continue walking this path, the question arises, what will the world look like when you've fully stepped into your purpose? This is why they watch you so closely. They don't fully understand your journey, but they can feel its impact. You are not just living, you are building something eternal, and that is what shakes them. You are proof that transformation is possible, that the old can give way to the new, and that nothing they've built can withstand the force of a God-ordained mission. You're not finished, and that is what makes you unstoppable. Your evolution is unstoppable, and they know it. It's not something that can be derailed by fear, manipulation, or their attempts to exert control. You are a force of nature, moving with a divine momentum that dismantles the illusions they've clung to for so long. As you rise, their carefully constructed worlds of influence and authority crumble under the sheer weight of your ascent. Have you noticed how their resistance only grows stronger as you step closer to your purpose? Deep down, they understand that nothing they do can halt the trajectory of your calling. They may attempt to distract you with petty conflicts, plant seeds of doubt, or create obstacles to slow you down, but their efforts are futile against the power of a mission ordained by God. In Isaiah 54:17, we are reassured, "No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me, declares the Lord." Your journey is not about mere personal growth. It's about fulfilling a purpose that is destined to bring profound transformation to the world. The scale of your mission terrifies them because it's beyond their comprehension, beyond their control. They fear your unfinished mission because they sense the unstoppable force it represents. Every step you take is a declaration that change is inevitable. The moment you fully embrace who you are meant to be, the world will shift in ways they never thought possible. These changes will disrupt their systems, flip their hierarchies, and expose the fragile foundations on which their power rests. Imagine their terror as they realize their control is nothing but an illusion, and their systems cannot withstand the force of truth and justice you embody. It's not just your presence that unnerves them, it's the force you carry within you, a power they can neither contain nor predict. Like a storm that reshapes the landscape, you are here to overturn the status quo and bring alignment with a higher order. Romans 8:19 beautifully illustrates this truth. For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. Your journey is part of this revelation, a movement that stirs not only hearts, but the very fabric of creation itself. Can you feel the magnitude of what you're being called to do? Their fear stems from the realization that your mission exposes the fragility of everything they depend on. Their power, their control, their carefully crafted narratives, all of it unravels in the presence of someone who cannot be manipulated or silenced. You don't just challenge their authority, you redefine it. You make it clear that true power comes from a higher source, and this truth shakes them to their core. Have you ever wondered why your mere existence seems to disrupt the systems around you? You are not here to play their games or adhere to their rules. Your purpose is far greater than their schemes. You are here to be a catalyst for transformation, to fulfill a mission that has been divinely ordained. In Matthew 5:14, Jesus said, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden." This is the power you embody, a light that cannot be extinguished, a presence that cannot be ignored. Your existence itself challenges their reality, and the inevitability of your mission terrifies them. In the end, they know they cannot stop what's already in motion. Your journey is not just about personal evolution. It's about bringing forth a profound and necessary shift in the world. The changes you carry within you will not only disrupt the status quo, but also pave the way for a world aligned with truth, justice, and divine purpose. And as you rise, their fear becomes the clearest evidence of your impact. You are the harbinger of a change they can neither stop nor fully understand. And that is the ultimate proof that your mission is already victorious. As we close this transformative message, let these words settle deeply in your heart. You were not placed here by accident or coincidence. God chose you for a divine purpose, to be a vessel of justice, truth, and light in a world that desperately needs change. You were born to challenge the status quo, to dismantle systems of deceit and injustice, and to usher in a new era of righteousness and hope. Others may fear you, not because of what you've already done, but because of the unstoppable force God has placed within you. They see it, they know it. You are a living testimony that the old ways are fading and a brighter, more just future is on the horizon. You're not alone in this journey. Every step you take forward disrupts darkness and brings light. When you walk boldly in your purpose, you inspire others to awaken to their own calling. The road is not always easy, but remember, God has already equipped you with the tools you need to succeed. Their fear is not a reflection of your weakness, but of the power God has placed in you to bring His justice to this world. No matter how much they try to resist, your purpose is unstoppable because it is ordained by the one who created you. Let this message remind you of your strength, your mission, and your destiny. You are God's chosen warrior, sent to rewrite history, not just for yourself, but for the countless lives you will touch along the way. Step forward in faith, knowing that no obstacle, no opposition, and no fear can stand in the way of what God has planned for you. You are a force of nature, a prophecy in motion, and this is just the beginning of the incredible work God will do through you. If this message has resonated with your spirit and reminded you of your purpose, consider supporting this mission by donating through Super Thanks. Your contributions, no matter how big or small, help us continue to reach hearts and souls with God's truth. And if you're unable to give, know that your presence here is a blessing to this community. We are deeply grateful for you, for your support, and for the light you bring simply by being here. Take the next step with us. Like this video to show your support, subscribe to this channel, and share this message with someone who needs it today. Let your voice be heard in the comments below. Your testimony could be the encouragement someone else needs. Together, as a community of believers, we can inspire one another and remind the world of the power of God's love and justice. May God's abundant blessings overflow in your life. May He guide you with clarity, strengthen you in moments of doubt, and surround you with His unshakable peace. You were chosen to do great things, and the best is yet to come. Stand firm, step boldly, and know that God's favor is upon you. This is just the beginning of your journey into greatness. Stay faithful, stay courageous, and may God bless you richly in all that you do. You are chosen, and your time is now. God bless you.